Hello and welcome back to the Demis Hellen channel. In this video we're going to take a look at the kick and bass bus of one of my burner tracks. Now a burner track is my sort of project for this year, which is just to sort of expand my creativity into other genres, mainly the electronic genres. But this is what I used to do, and trance is very conforming. Trance is here to stay on the channel, by the way, but I just want to expand out and just teach you other things that trance can't teach you. And we're going to look at house and deep house and melodic techno, and maybe even some down tempo and chill out stuff. We're going to do all sorts just to sort of broaden it out and help you understand different ways of making music, because trance is very specific. And in this video we're going to look at a kick and bass bus, and then we're going to do a little bit extra to sort of further gel it together, and it's just like a little secret tip for you to explore in your own tracks. So let's take a look. Let's just go to screen number 1 and let's have a look at what we've got, and then we'll start looking at the buses. So you can hear very simple early days, maybe a little bit top heavy at the moment in terms of bass, but the sounds work together, and that is rule number 1. Make sure you've got sound design that works together naturally. So let's have a look at the kick and bass bus. We've already got it selected, and here on the left hand side we have the API 2500. That's all that's on this channel at the moment, and this is a compressor, and I'm using this one because it can react quite hard depending on these tone settings here. So I've got the compressor set to a 6:1 ratio, so quite high, and then I've got a slow attack to let some of the transient come through, but a quick release to obviously then stop the compressor working to let the bass breathe. And that's going to be the key to sort of like making sure the kick's controlled but the bass is given more room to operate in. So I'm just going to turn this down on the threshold so you can see what I'm dialing in and how the sound change. And with the tone settings down here, the reason I like using this is because of the loud, medium and normal tones. Loud gives you a really hard sort of, not pumping, but it gives you a quite snappy sound to the compressor, whereas medium sort of the happy place in between soft and hard. And then obviously we've got normal there as well. And that goes for the knee and also the tone type, which I always seem to sway towards the old, which sounds a lot better to my ears. So let's have a listen. I'll dial up the threshold and you'll be able to hear what this is doing to the kick and bass. So you can hear the kicks being controlled, the bass just sounds the same, maybe less intense, and that's because we're sort of compressing down, letting some of the lower sounds breathe and come through. But because we've pushed it so far on the threshold, we're now starting to compress pretty much everything that is coming in, including the bass that is a lot lower than the kick. So I'm going to dial this to around -2, -3 dB. So that's pre-compressor, so just have a listen to how that sounds, get used to it for a few seconds, and then I'll turn it back on. So you can hear it sounds to get warmer. And if you missed it, just skip back and have another listen. Watch for when I am unmuting that at the turn of the bar. You'll hear that the bass and the kick seem to like lose power and weight, and they kind of sink back into the track. They sound great, but because we have taken it away, it really becomes obvious. And just make sure that your output's not going too loud, because louder always seems to be better, and it's not the case. Our ears are useless at understanding that louder is not better. So that adds warmth and a bit of character to in there. And we could change this to the loud tone so we get a real more pronounced sort of effect to this, but I prefer sort of like the happy medium ground, just to make sure we're not overdoing things, and then we can come back and tweak that if we need to. So again, without seeing that, I'm going to turn it off, and then when we get round to this cycle point and to come back round, we will then turn it on, and hopefully you'll hear the difference that way without visually seeing what's going on. So let's turn this off here. So that is bypassed. So hopefully you can hear that. Just go back and have another listen. It really does bring out the warmth and the roundness of that kick, but the bass also gets brought up maybe a bit too much in my opinion, but we can rebalance the level on the track end of things. So if we just jump into the mixer here, and I think our bass is here. Got a microphone arm in the way of this screen at the moment. And technically you would balance this using something like span, so you can see where your kick and your bass are hitting and get them at the same level of the peaks. So listen to them individually and then get them to the same level. But for now, I'm just going to do this by ear for the tutorial. Okay, that sounds a bit better. But we don't want to lose the effect. So if we just bypass this again on this screen, so let's just go back to this one. Let's bypass it a second. Let's have a listen. So it's really bringing the bass out, but it's making it sound a lot warmer. So what I'd do after this, and we're just going to use Cubase's built-in frequency for this. So you can use Pro Q3, TDR Nova if you want to use a free one. I'm just going to set this to a local 24, and you can see it's already set to 25 Hertz. So let's just have a listen. So I'm going to go a little bit harder, but I'm going to go down to 20 just to roll out any unnecessary lows. And I'm just building a little bit of Q there at that point, just to reintroduce some of the low end, so we're rolling it off, but we're just making sure there's a nice curve into that, and we can control that as much as we like to. But for now, that is sounding pretty good. So with the kick drum, we've got a little bit of shaping, so I'm just going to explain what's going on here. We're using an LFO tool to just shape the kick and get rid of any tail. That's going into that sort of second half of the beat, and that beat then is occupied, well, that other half of the beat is occupied by the bass, or more of the bass. And the same with the bass, we've got, let's have a look, we're using an effects modulator in this one, so we're just simulating sidechain there with volume. But the reason that I'm using this one is we're also using a filter, so we're actually filtering out some of the lows off the bass using a high pass, and that's why it's inverted. So let's just turn that off. You can see that we've got sidechain, and that is essentially introducing volume over time, which is a quarter bar, so it's kind of pumping like a sidechain would if you routed it with a compressor. And then the filter is doing the opposite way, and it's starting at a high pass sort of halfway, so there is no bass, but it's coming down and introducing bass in the second half, and that makes sure that it keeps it clear of the kick. So there's a kick sinks away just a little bit, but turn it on, the kick comes through. It's very, very subtle, but it does work, because if you listen to this slower, if I just solo the bass and turn this onto, let's say, a bar, and if I was to exaggerate this, you can hear the high pass is working. So I've done it gently so that we get a little bit of that bass removed, so the lower frequencies, and you can see up to 1K there, so 1000 Hertz on an EQ, and that is just cutting out some of the unnecessary bass from the bass when it's not needed where the kick is, if that makes sense. So with that in mind, we've got the shaping done, and then obviously on the kick, I've just boosted a little bit of the bass there, a bit of a roll off, and then a bit of kick shape in there just to make sure it fits with the track. But we can do one more thing with this, and that is add an effects send, which is going to add another compression into this. And I'm keeping it very basic on the effects channel, so it's easy to follow. But on the kick and bass, we can just right click, and if you can add a send track in your DAW or an effects channel in your DAW, it's an effects channel for me, we can just select that and we can choose a compressor. So we use TDR Molotov, it's free. I know I'm using other paid plugins there, but this one is free. Output audio, you can see, is to kick and bass. So I'm just going to leave everything set up like this, but I'm going to call this K and B, and I'll call it comp. Add the track, and you can see it'll load in this. But if we go over to this side and go to our mixer, you can see just under my face we've got two purple faders here. One's already set up because I've already done this, but if I mute this for now so you can't see what's going on, we're going to have this now with the bass. Let's just get rid of this. And the magic's happening from this particular compressor. So I'm going to go back to this screen, and what I'm going to do is disable the high pass so there is no sort of like filtering out of where the compressor starts. I'm going to put this somewhere between standard and sort of bus processing on this particular knob. I'm going to put the ratio to the highest that we can do. I'm going to turn the threshold right down. I'm going to hit the attack hard, and let's just have a little bit of a slower release. Let's hit it really hard. So this is not doing anything to the sound at this moment in time because the fader is down. And if we just add the fader in here, you can see on the left that this fader is down at 0. So this is not being mixed in at all because it's a send track. But we're over compressing this signal so badly that it's unlistenable. But when you start to mix that in with the original signal of our kick and bass, we're going to get sort of more undertones of warmth. We're going to get more roundness, depending on how you set this up, obviously. And it's just going to overall sort of really bring everything together and make it sound beefy. So let's have a listen to this when I start mixing this in on the left. So you're not going to hear much because I forgot to turn the makeup gain. And the good thing about Molotov is you can see how much gain reduction there is. So if you look at this makeup gain here, you can see that's how much volume we've lost. So we need to make that back up. And you can see it's still going way beyond our makeup gain because we've compressed it so hard. But that doesn't matter because now we can add this in because it's louder and you'll hear the effects better. So you can hear it softened it as soon as we turn that on, and it becomes more clearer when we actually bypass this. So we can change this up. By opening that attack, we've let the transients come through a lot more, and you can see 63 milliseconds, so it's pretty slow, but that's letting some of the transients of the kick come through and a little bit more of the bass before the compressor really starts squashing everything down. And that's going to sort of help maintain a little bit more clarity in there. But you can see that we've mixed a send feed of extra bass and sort of like a really overcompressed channel into the same sort of channel. So what we've done is we've created an effects channel, overcompress the sound coming into it, and then we can use the mixer to feed that overcompressed signal back in, and it just gives you this really heavy and sort of like warm undertone. Depending on the track you're trying to create, this doesn't always work, but you can do it in such a manner that it's a little bit gentler if you need to. And then just looking at the inserts here, if we just use another instance of frequency from Cubase, I'm going to set this to 48 dB. I'm going to roughly around 20 hertz, just roll off the low end to make sure there's nothing too much coming through back from that channel. And we can really control that even more if we want to. We could say we don't really want all the boominess of that sound. We just want, say, the sort of lower mids upwards feeding back in. So you'll only emphasize that top end of your kick and bass bus. So you can hear that's like it's not even on. So I'm going to go for about there. So we're just getting rid of some unnecessary rumble. So don't worry, we're still going to get that from the original channel because we're not cutting off at that height, but the send channel is just cutting some of that out because we don't need to boost that too much. And you can see now that we've got a nice solid bass coming out of that. So I'm just going to mute this vocal. And I'm going to turn off the two mixer channels. So let's just jump over to the mixer so you can't see anything, so you can just hear it. I'm going to turn off the inserts for this channel, and then I'll do the kick and bass, which is this channel. So you can hear it's dropped back. It still sounds clear, but this adds a lot more warmth and weight into it, but it sounds a little bit more uncontrolled in my opinion. So it's quite rounded, quite heavy. But you can hear that's now brought it back under control by using that frequency there and just mixing a little bit in. We can really bring the bass to where we want it using that fader. And there we are. That brings us to the end of this particular tutorial. So we've got a nice feed coming in from a send of an overcompressed signal on top of the kick and bass bus, which then we can use to control the weight, how hard it sounds or how round it sounds or how weighty it sounds. We have a lot of control over that. And you can see I've opted for sort of taking the weight off it, but keeping the punch of that by using the EQ on the send track to sort of like emit the lower end. So with that said, you know what to do. If you want to follow the channel or like anything, you can do that all down below the video. And if you want to leave a comment, feel free. I usually get back to a lot of people anyway. It's getting a little bit more difficult now the channel's getting bigger, but I'm trying my best to keep on top of things. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.